are the USPs of ONGC vis-a-vis others. And to your information, I'd like to make a point that we brought in an advertisement a year back where we had said that all those ONGCians who had left the organization have the opportunity to come back and join for an exciting career if they so wish to. We received more than 400 applications. We were very selective. We shortlisted about 130 of them. And then we called for interview about 65, 70. And finally selected 20 or 8 in one first phase and I think 12 in another phase. And I think 25, 26 have already joined. And these are the people who have worked not only in country, in other companies, but outside the country as well. People have responded from Middle East also to, they would like to come back to ONGC. But then we were very selective because we wanted to take people who have added value to their own curriculum, own knowledge base, and have that positive attitude towards organization. So I think this is because of largely our work environment, work culture, which provides that flexibility to express and be part of that decision making, besides these policies which attracts them.
One general question. Although many public sector enterprises, they are giving crores in dividends to the government, but the salaries to leave the best talent. Your comments, please.
Yeah, I think that perhaps designed some 8 years back are outdated to my mind. They need to be revisited, and in one or two cases we have taken up with government again to give us exemption on that none of the powers. But on compensation, I think we made our point in the Pay Commission this thing that the board needs to be given empowerment to that. But some of the policies are good. Government policies are good, but are not flexible actually. For example, I'd say that profit sharing. Profit sharing is one scheme that we have utilized for benefit of the people and as a retaining policy and as an initiative for our people. 5% profit can be distributed. So in our case, 5% is appreciable. We have profits of over 17,000 crores. So it works out substantial. Although we have not used full 5%, but we have used it effectively. And this one thing is what has attracted people in that. Second is the ESOP. Now, government has an ESOP policy. Now, I was very critical when we had an interaction with the committee and where the DPE secretary and other officials were there, because I pointed out that this scheme, DP should have had an opportunity to examine this scheme. This scheme was there for more than 25 years. Why is it that not a single company is able to or was able to implement this? There has to be some reason. And I said this is impractical. What you have proposed is not practical at all. You need to see in present time the new ESOP scheme, and we have proposed a new ESOP scheme. Hopefully it will get accepted. And we strongly feel today the private sector, what they do is they take people, work for 2-3 years, and that is the time when they give an ESOP. And ESOP with a lock-in period of 3 years. So you are able to hold on to him for the 3 years. After 3 years, again an ESOP. So you are able to, through this liberating ESOP, time-wise, you are able to hold on to people and talent in the field. Why can't the public sector do it? When you have a scheme, it needs to be perhaps changed and made more effective.
I think that the number of enterprises are not even that 5%. And not to go too far in this very city, there are some enterprises which are not even 5%. And it's not 5% which is important. How do you distribute 5%? And there are a number of companies in this city only, and elsewhere, who have just gone pro-rata. It's a question of performance appraisal. And you give those who have really performed. It can't be a sort of charity that you just fix formula and put it, in the same manner to each and everybody. So, public sector enterprises are asked to come forward. Within that, I think there have been questions, let us say, wage policies, you have HAL. Now HL, they also operated Navratna, in the same narrow kind of flexibility. But they took people up and they used the personal policies and wage agreements and they gave 13 to 15 increment. And there have been enterprises which could not give even one increment. And that apartment of Navratna enterprises, as Dr. Balyan is telling, let's say, Sangita company report before that 1996 and such which are there, many of them have not used, and they say that they don't require any upward revision. That's the other side of things. So you have to have a proactive board, you have to have a proactive community of public sector people who should know their interest. And coming to, I think, this ASOP scheme, which is very, very important, this is one thing which can take people up. And you also have to differentiate all people. You have to differentiate people at the board level and people who drive the organization and people who have just come. So that differentiation is not a question of socialism. It's a question of people, how much you contribute, and your remuneration has to have some linkage with contribution. At the same time, maybe social responsibility and upbringing the organization.
Even investment decisions, to my mind, Chairman ONGC takes far more responsibility and more serious decisions are taken. But when it comes to compensation, if you compare the salary, the Chairman ONGC salary is just a 2.5 days salary compared to that. And this is an absolute mismatch.
And if you take yesterday's figure, you see that in the favor of public sector enterprises. And I'm sure there's something very interesting and encouraging is coming, I think, by 30 or 31st.
This is not a question. Could a youngster like me request you for the email if you want to a template which says the declining impact of HR is leading us or compelling us to
Special character, nature, and perhaps would have to have its own innovative ways of tackling these things. But HR traditionally has been administrative in nature. I think that those days are gone. HR today has a different role. Today they have to be totally focused on performance. An HR person today is required to be an all-rounder, to my mind, must understand the business. Business, when I say, how many HR people can understand the balance sheet of the company, read the balance sheet, profit loss account. Number two, what business, what technology, what they're doing, how many of them can do that. Thirdly, the HR people need to also use technology. They need to be IT savvy. They must be able to visualize the problem upfront as a diagnostician and also be quick in addressing those, creating interventions to address those issues. That's the difference that has come in. And that's what in today's HR, I think it's altogether different expectation.
Yeah, but what connects between that and talent management?
If you remain focused on the administrative area that you recruit, you pay well, salary chala gaya, leave liya ke nahi liya, ye sanction hua ke nahi hua, those are the matters which are gone. They are no more important than that. Those parts need to perhaps can be outsourced even. I don't mind with that. The strategic part is what is needed today. So I think that was a disconnect earlier. Now we need to really focus on these issues.
I think now we have the last question, and that is from Dr. Venkataraman, who is the former Chief General Manager of ECIL.
Job. There is a general but we see people changing their jobs immediately after the after the placement. This is what I complained regularly here also. Normally what we do after a small induction, I am not talking about this general district. After a small induction, after about 3 months or something like that, we will place a person. We have an R&D to the distribution or so sometimes it can happen that the taste of the what we call his attitude towards a particular activity and the nature of job which we give him could differ, and he changes the job so immediately. So could there be a mechanism in the screening stage or at the induction stage that we spot out his taste and then place than allowing the man to change immediately after some 3 months. This is what frequently, if you read about complaint, people are changing immediately. That should not be, it cannot have, because the remuneration, I think remuneration cannot be that in 3 months you won't change your mind for remuneration. And I thought I would get it.
You're right, actually, attrition comes in when people have put in about 7 to 8 years of service. When they have started understanding the business very well, they are able to drive the activities on their own, then the attrition comes. But just for your information, we had undertaken a small study on the attributes, traits of the youngsters now compared to what used to be earlier. One of our former director personnel, Mr. Srinivasan, there we work with them. And I don't have details here, but I can only tell you that the characteristics of the youngsters today are much different than what it used to be earlier. They are not, the emotional bondage that used to develop very quickly is lacking. More materialistic, but more competent, more prone to risk-taking. They don't hesitate in risk-taking. And they want a very clarity on this thing. What it is for me, I will do this. What is for me after 3 years. So they're much more that we're professional in that, but on certain parameters, low also. It's a very interesting study, but they don't hesitate in taking decisions, leaving. It is more in the other sectors, not with us in the oil sector. I think that's what it is. Thirdly, the point on what parameters drive people to leave company. 5 years before, it was remuneration was at number 5. We have support of 3 studies. We did a comprehensive study. In fact, some 5 years back, ONGC was the only PSU we took part in a remuneration survey, and then we found that we are better at the initial stage. Till 7-8 years when people come into the level 3 promotions, when the disparity starts, then of course it goes exponential somewhere. We are a straight line, more or less a low straight line, I would say. But that time, other parameters, job satisfaction level was the primary factor. Now, in the latest study last year, 7-8 months back, all studies have brought in that remuneration is number 1 today. In terms of percentages, I would say that I don't have figures right now, but almost to 35-40% weightage comes to remuneration.
On talent management. Dr. K Balyan, in this lecture has rightly stated that it's the right people in the distinguishing factor for the success of any organization. Same time, he was focusing on scientific approach to talent management, that is talent. Sir, I fully agree with this. I feel that there is a need for new talent management system in public sector enterprises, where it is the combination of monetary and non-monetary benefits which have to be accrued to the individual so that they can be retained over a long period of time. I feel that it is the holistic approach of wage management of innovation and compensation which enables the organization of CPSCs to retain the talent for a longer time. Yes, he rightly stated that the compensation of ONGC chief is very partly compared to the other executives in the same field. That is, he almost receives just 12 to 13 lakhs per annum. As per the data I have, during 2006 and 7, he received just 12.87 lakhs. So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful and eye-opening lecture on critical issues in talent management with reference to ONGC. Thank you very much.
Thank you.